And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Andy Webb with Lifestyles Unlimited. And as always, we're working on your financial freedom. And I am filling in today for Tell Al Tuesday. And I am, if you've caught any of the earlier programs, I'm still bouncing around Colorado with my family. We just moved the RV bunker about 100 miles down the road to Pagosa Springs, still in Colorado. Small town with big hot springs. Great to warm up as it's cooling off. We camped just north of town. Get this, parked 20 feet from the San Juan River. You listen closely, you may actually hear it right now in the background. And we are at a higher elevation here. It's getting colder into the 40s overnight. So to my friends back in Texas, where it is still in the mid-90s, yeah, we're cooling down. So we are out here practicing what we talk about at Lifestyles Unlimited. Live where you want and invest where it makes sense. And I have guests today with me on Tell Al Tuesday that have taken that to the next level because they are not even in the contiguous United States. And I bet it's getting pretty cold where they are as well. So without further ado, let me welcome to the program Celisse and Phillip. Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. We're doing great. Thank you.
So excited to be with you.
Hey, it's great to hear from you guys. And just to open, tell the folks, where are you?
Well, we're currently right now in Rhode Island, but our home is in Alaska. So the reason why we're in Rhode Island is because work-related. I'm currently in the Navy as a chaplain, so I'm up here doing some training right now. So that's where we're currently at, and Celisse is with me in Rhode Island.
Okay, so you guys get to, just like me, you're moving around as needed, as you want. Alaska, so Rhode Island, Alaska, I'm picturing pretty cold either way.
Exactly.
So we'll get into how you're investing from these farther flung locations, obviously, in the course of the show. But I want to go back, and to open the show, I saw this in the notes for the program, just your write-up, your bio. Let's get into life before Lifestyles Unlimited. And I have to ask the question. You have to tell me about the 14 chickens. What was going on?
Well, when I first asked Celisse to marry me, she agreed to it. I guess the 14 chickens and the 2 goats was like an endowment, right? So I was like, I thought I was marrying into money, but then I get 14 chickens and 2 goats. So we had to work with what we got. So no, seriously, though, when we first got married, that was definitely a gift from her dad to us when we first got married for some reason. So that's where it started. And we enjoyed it while we were there at that time in our lives. So it was a good time.
Mm-hmm. Our situation, just to kind of give you a full picture of that, we had some debt, student loan debt, about $16,000, and our monthly income at that time was $825. And we lived in a converted workshop behind my grandpa's house. And like you mentioned, we had 14 chickens and our goat William. We were very happy, but we were extremely limited in life. And yes, eating a lot of chicken eggs.
14 chickens, I can only imagine. So you were starting a little bit behind the ball, I suppose, maybe younger, living in a converted workshop. Where was this? Was this in Rhode Island or whereabouts?
This was in Charlotte, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay, so you really have moved around. So what did you do? $16K in debt, very minimal income. What did you do before Lifestyles, let's say, just to try to address the situation?
So for years, we worked so hard. We budgeted. We tithed. We attended motivational seminars, real estate workshops. We saved money. We joined the Navy. Phillip joined the Navy. We read books. We contributed faithfully to our Roth IRAs and TSP accounts. We both shared a car. Then we started a small business in Alaska. We built our credit. But, after doing all of this, we kind of ran the numbers, and we just realized we are not going to retire well. And so we knew we needed a breakthrough, and we needed passive income. That really was plain to us after starting our own business and seeing how much work we had to put into that. And we just knew this is not sustainable in our older age. So we knew we needed something. And in June 2020 was when we really hit rock bottom in our confidence that things would change. And this is when my brother introduced us to Lifestyles after hearing your radio program.
Okay, where's your brother at?
He's also in North Carolina.
Okay. So you're in Alaska at the time, tried a business, joined the Navy, saving, putting money into all those glorified savings accounts, essentially, that we talk about. Shared a car. I've done that before to save on the expenses. I understand that fully. But none of it was getting you there. You heard about Lifestyles Unlimited. And you're in Alaska. Did you fly down to a 2-day? How did you attend how did you dive deeper with the organization? We got about 50 seconds here.
So after starting the business in Alaska, I came on active duty. So I was on active duty, bouncing back and forth between assignments. And so when we came in to did the 2-day, that time I've been assigned to North Carolina and Camp Lejeune, and so we were down there, and that's when we did the 2-day online. It was around the COVID time, hyper COVID and all that. So that's when we were able to do it online down in North Carolina.
I'm joined today by Celisse and Phillip. These are investors that are based out of Alaska, and we're going to hear how they have been investing as members at Lifestyles Unlimited. Currently, they are located in Rhode Island. Phillip is with the Navy, so much like myself in the RV bunker, I'm bumping all over the place, right, Phillip? And we just heard that you got connected with Lifestyles Unlimited through your brother. He's in North Carolina at the time, familiar with the organization, heard about it on the radio, and this was during COVID. Early in COVID, June of 2020. So what did you do? You came to the 2-day financial freedom seminar virtually. And just for the listener, the 2 days where we talk on day 1 about single family investing and on day 2 about apartments. If you could tell us a little bit about that experience online. It was interactive, was it not? How did that all go? And what did you learn?
Like we, Celisse and I, up to this point in our lives, we have been looking for something, and we've been to this motivational space seminar and this one, and we weren't really, we didn't get any substance from any of that. And so when her brother told us about Lifestyles Unlimited, we honestly were very skeptical. We're like, oh, brother, here we go again, another one of these pyramid things. So we were kind of very skeptical, but reluctantly we took it. We're like, okay, well, let's see what this is about. It doesn't cost much. Let's just do this. So we took time and we did it. And there was one thing that we really was impressed with the 2-day was not only did they discuss, marketing, how to do certain things within real estate, but it was like for the first time in our lives, it's like somebody is not only telling us that we need to do things, but actually telling us how to do it. Yes. And we never got any of that from any of these places, corporations, or whatever seminars that we attended. And that was, for me, a big thing for us. So it was like, wow, these guys are actually willing to educate us, to tell us not only that we need to get there, but how do we get there. So from that point on, we were kind of hooked. We were like, okay, well, then what's the next step? How do we get involved in this? Because now we're all in. Yeah. And so throughout our marriage and our career, we have, remodels in different places and houses and things like that. So we've tempered in a little bit of that as well, especially with our business in Alaska. We build rent cabins. So we've done a little bit of that in that area. And so Lisa and I were thinking, the reason why we didn't do single families is because we realized that's a lot for us. That was a lot of hands-on work because we have started a business from the ground zero up in that kind of field, in that area. And we were looking for something more passive, putting our money to work for us.
Yeah.
And while we're not necessarily wholly involved, hands-on, driving nails and boards, throwing up walls, and things like that. So when we were introduced to the second day to the multifamily, that really spoke to us. And we were like, wow, this is exactly what we're looking for.
Yes.
And we were so impressed that Lifestyles took the opportunity to educate us for that 2-day and to tell us that this is available to people like Celisse and I.
Yes.
Yeah, Celisse, anything to add?
Yeah, I would like to add kind of specifically how we were helped by Lifestyles immediately. Like Phillip said, the education was real. And so right away we knew this is not a gimmick. And so we had that piece to take the next step. And within 2 days we had joined as passives. And why we joined, there was the education, which we got from the 2-day, but we knew that there was going to be a lot more. And they give you the connections to the syndicators. And also it was a system that has so many checks and balances to correct and protect and guide the syndicators and the investors to successful deals. And that was so attractive to us. I'll let Phillip talk about this, but it was so much flexibility that it really fit our lifestyle, where we're moving quite a bit with the military and not really wanting to settle down in one area and learn a market and then get into single family and doing all of that work and then having to probably hire a property management company because we'd be moving again. So for that reason, it was so attractive to us.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I mean, I got buddies of mine who have bought every place they've moved to buy a house, rent it, and all that. And you just saw so much work, so much commitment, so much, entanglement there that we were just like, we're looking for something a little bit more hands-off, but at the same time is going to grow our money, in a good way, where we're not going to lose money and get a good return on our investment. So it really, Lifestyles really fit our lifestyle as far as being in the military and moving frequently.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I am a single family investor, and I've been doing that for a decade or so in Dallas-Fort Worth. And now that we're on the road, we're starting to move more into the passive sphere as well. But I do want to come back to the single family comment because it can be done remotely. And in fact, I did a great show with a gentleman just a few days ago, Lance, and much like yourself, he came from a place of very little income. He was making $16,000 a year at one point, negative net worth, $21K in debt, and he's since gone on over a decade to build up close to $1 million in net worth. I mean, he's really turned it around, and he's gone the single family route, and some of that is remote. So it is doable if you use the right tools, if you take the right approach, if you build the team. That's the big thing. I will confess, guys, when I'm in Dallas, I am fairly hands-on, but I enjoy doing that. I like to get out and meet with my residents. It comes down to your personality. And some people say, hey, houses not for me. And with your lifestyle, I think I think the multifamily is a great approach. And I also want to say, you guys are doing this fully remotely at the time. Again, everybody was, because we were fully virtually with COVID. Everything was shut down. And what Lifestyles does, they don't say, hey, here's the syndicator. You get out and you network and you meet these sundry, what we call lead investors, syndicators. You get to know them. And then when they have an opportunity, they present that to their sphere, which we're now in because we've met them, gotten to know them. And we decide, hey, thumbs up, thumbs down, I'm doing this one, I'm going to pass. And one of the things that helps us is that education. Can you tell us a little bit about what you did to become a certified passive investor? What is that, and what are some key points that helped you as an investor with that program?
Sure, yeah, I'll speak to that. I did the certification first in June 2020, so it was in, when the pandemic was happening, and we were remote, like you said. We were disconnected from Texas, disconnected from our, the leads and everyone. We're isolated. So it was amazing how we were able to do all of it remotely online. And it took me about a month from June to about July, and to get my certification. And just I hit it, a couple classes a day and took my time. I repeated a few classes to make sure I understood them. And I just got to say, anyone can do this. There's no obstacle to you getting into multifamily or single family.
I'm going to cut us off. We're heading to a quick break. I hear the music kicking on. Let's finish that thought when we come back. So to the listener, please stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Stop waiting. Stop sitting around. Stop procrastinating. This is your time. Make it happen. Do it now. When's the best time? Now. People go, well, I don't know. It's going to crash. It's going to be better next year. I've got to listen to 4 more classes. I love guys come up to me all the time. I've been listening to you on the radio for 8 years now, right? I go, and you're not rich yet? Well, really, I'm thinking about joining next month. Do it now.
Learn the skills you need to retire with real estate in 5 years or less. Do it now. Register for the Lifestyles Unlimited free online workshop, lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Andy Webb. If you have any questions, you can send me an email to askandy@luinc.com. And I'm joined today on Tell Al Tuesday by Celisse and Phillip. And we've heard a lot of their story already. If you missed the earlier part of the show, go to lifestylesunlimited.com. The shows are archived there. And you can also catch that prior show I just did with Lance as well. Very fascinating story with his movement from negative net worth to very much positive. So you can catch the programs there. But Celisse, as we headed into the break, we were talking about the passive certification and the education. And I was just curious to hear any major takeaways or some of the big things. Some of us are numbers people. I am. Some people are not. There are different aspects to each of those courses. Where there's some big learnings for you that have really helped you as you've gone down your passive investing path.
Sure. Yeah, I have to say I'm not a numbers person, but I'm enjoying this so much that I may be converted. So it has been, like I said, it was such an easy experience. It's given me so much confidence too. I like to just point that out. So much confidence after completing this and going through the whole certification. Just like I said before, anyone can do this. We were remote, and it's funny because the first 6 deals we did, I never had met anyone in Lifestyles. I had never been to an expo. I'd never been to any live events. I'd never met my mentor in person. So I can just say this is doable from anywhere. And with any background, any education you have, it's very doable. And right away when I started doing the whole process, like you said, they had the 4-day thing where you learn all about the legal documents and help you get through that. And one of the things I was really impressed with was how they help you to connect with your leads and do that remotely as well. So that was such a big help to me to be able to learn to how to write them a letter, an email, and how to talk to them, when to talk to them, when to leave them alone because they're busy. And so that was really helpful with the education as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. A lot of people were doing this remotely and maybe needed a little bit of tips and tricks for just interacting with each other, especially virtually. If you're like me, I like to get out and shake hands at the networking events. Well, suddenly we couldn't do that. Go ahead, Phillip. I think you had something to add.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to jump in and say one of the classes that really helped me was understanding the spreadsheets in MFPQ. I didn't know what was what. And so looking at it, when we were looking at the deals originally, I was like, I don't know what they're trying to tell me, and I don't know what I'm looking at. But when I took the course, they were very, very very clear, very patient, very, this is what this means. This is what you're looking for. This is what a good deal looks like. This is what this number means. So that was the educational part was very, very good. And that was what stood out to me on that one. Because it really helped me when I look at the deals now. I can look at it and say, okay, well, that looks good. That fits our, plan. That fits our strategic plan, and this one doesn't. So
yeah, you learn to speak the language with all the acronyms that are out there, the vocabulary, as well as the language around the numbers, because that lead investor is going to put together what's called a pro forma, a budget, essentially what we anticipate, a business plan, and you want to be able to pick through the numbers and make sure that meets your criteria as an investor, because we all have somewhat different criteria. Now, you guys did the passive certification. Interestingly, you did yours in mid-2020. Celisse, Phillip, you went through that in mid-2021. My wife and I, we just beamed it onto the TV and sat through that together, talked. You can approach it however you want, but once you're both certified, you started investing. And what was that first year like?
Fast. It was awesome. So once we had joined as passives, we were both all in. We had decided this is it, and as fast as we could, we were finding and joining passive deals. We had about $200,000 we had saved over those years that we were budgeting, and so when that was invested, we sold our home. We emptied our IRA account, and I'm telling you, we had no hesitation. We kept saving, and this got us into a few more deals and helped us really to meet our goal. That first year was to do 7 deals, and looking at that, it seemed impossible. We still can't believe we did it, but we did. And like I said, the first deal, 6 deals we did, we didn't even meet anyone. I went to the expo, and Phillip got so excited about it. A year later, he did his certification, and I have to point out that he did his certification in 19 days, and he sealed his first deal, passive deal, all within that 19 days. So it was pretty amazing.
That's a great teacher.
So 7 investments, passive investments. So when you're saying deals, you guys have found 7 individual different apartment investments to park some portion of those funds that you tapped into. And I like that you mentioned where you've sourced some of that capital. I have conversations with people all the time that say, I just don't have the money. If you scratch around, look around, you probably do, whether it's that IRA, that 401k. I just cashed mine out. And boy, I'm glad I did a couple months ago. Those toys, I am in an RV park and I'm looking around. I see some pretty high dollar Class A diesel pusher motorhomes. There are lots of places to go to get that, refi that house. And so you hit 7. Sure. What did you do to make sure you hit that goal? You said, we're going to do 7. What was the drive? How did you stay on track of that?
Yeah, so the first thing we did was we did a deal for $30,000, and we were comfortable with that. And then we did a 25 because we were new. They were letting us in at the lower amounts. And then we moved up to 50. We did 4 deals for 50. And then we ran out of money. And we were like, we want to hit this hard and fast. And so we started looking around, what can we sell? I had renovated an RV, a vintage RV. We sold that. And then we had a remote cabin in Alaska that we loved and built and really didn't want to get rid of it. But at that time, we were like, you know what? We're so convinced of this. It's going to change our lives so much. We can build another house. And so we sold that. And then, like I said, we emptied our IRA accounts and our TSP accounts. And I know a lot of people hesitate to do that, but we ran the numbers and we were like, this is what we've been making on it. And this is what we are anticipating in the real estate investing. This is a no-brainer. And so we did that right away, too. And that got us into a few more deals. So that's how we did it.
Yeah, you have to make some hard choices sometimes. And we all grow up with the conventional wisdom path that tells us to put that money in that 401k or IRA. And like you said, you ran the numbers. And I think if anybody sits down and looks over a longer time horizon, they'll see it just doesn't make sense. Now, you've got one of your investments that has gone full cycle. Tell us about that one. How did that one do?
Yes, that was with our lead, Scott Mackey, and he was amazing. He was our second deal we did. And 18 months later, I don't think we were actually planning on selling at 18 months, but he came to our, to all the investors and said, we've got a great offer. And so he said, I think we should sell. What do you guys think? And we said, yes, let's do it. And so we got back all of our initial investment and then 77% more in that 18-month span. And I tell you, that was a turning point for us. We just felt like all of that hustling, now we're bearing the fruit. Now we're seeing all the fruit from our labor. And it was so satisfying and life-changing because it was like, this is real. This is really happening.
I'm joined by Celisse and Phillip, and they're hailing from the Great White North somewhere, Alaska, Rhode Island. Phillip, we heard you're in the Navy, so you do move around a bit. And so you guys have elected as investors to be passive investors in multifamily, in apartments. And we heard about your very first year deploying your capital. You said, Celisse, you started with $200,000 that you had saved that you could deploy. How long did it take you to save that $200,000?
Andy, it took us about 10 years, actually, to save the $200,000 after budgeting and really, really trying to save. And it's funny because we've been investing almost 2 years now, and we've doubled that amount. And I would just like to say to the listeners, you will find more money. And if you are a good steward and you invest and you hit this hard, more money will come to you. And that's my encouragement to you guys.
Yeah, very good point. And I think it's helpful, too, to connect with other people, like-minded people that are in this space, because whether they're just starting out or they did it 10 years ago, they probably went through the ringers as well. So it's good to go and talk to people. Just be a fly on the wall and listen and learn. So you guys are in Alaska, in Rhode Island, traveling with the Navy. Obviously investing afar. I'm curious, where are you investing roughly? Tell us a little bit about those markets and how do you choose a particular market?
Yeah, sure. So we, when we first started, we just looked at the deals as they were coming in, and the first 7 we did actually were all in Texas, spread out all over Texas. And yeah, and then we've done recently a deal in Mississippi, and then another one in Texas. So pretty much all in Texas so far. Okay,
but you're not driving down to check out these apartments because you are remote. How do you get your intelligence, I suppose, on these properties or on these investments?
Sure. So it's really important for Phillip and me to connect with our leads because we look at this as a lifetime-long relationship. And so what I'll do is normally the leads will put out some type of a resume and maybe a short bio. And so I'll skim, just read through that. And if I see something that stands out to me, what's important to them? Is it family? Is it community? Is it their faith? And all of those things I'll skim through, and then once that's done, I'll go on and line and see if they've maybe recorded anything like a Zoom meeting, and I'll watch the Zoom meeting. I like to just watch their personality and see if it's someone that that we really can connect with, and what their dreams are in life. And so that's kind of how we decide. And then of course we look at the deal and all the deals and look at the ones that have the better numbers, the time frame that really fits what we're looking for as well.
To your point, you've run out of money, right? You run out of money at some point. I do get the fear from some people that, well, what if I can't get into an investment? There are so many. I'm just here in the middle of a valley alongside a river. Just yesterday, I think I saw 3 new investment opportunities hit my inbox. So if you're connecting with these lead investors, you're going to see it, aren't you?
Yep. Yeah, I think we've got about 16 or 17 in our inbox, just waiting for us to get some more money to join.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to process sometimes. So you mentioned Mississippi, and I think that's an interesting one because we talked a little bit about your first investment that went full cycle, meaning you got invested, the lead investor sold, returned funds to you plus your gains, which we heard were significant, 77% in 18 months. And if I understood correctly, how quickly did you get those funds redeployed?
So that's pretty much a miracle story. We got those funds back in, it was in June. And we were talking with Chris in Mississippi and Christopher, and really liked the deal, loved Chris as a lead, and we were like, we really want to partner with him. And so we talked with him and kind of got an idea of when the funds would be needed. And then we talked with Scott with the property that was selling, and he kind of gave us an idea when those funds would be deposited in our account. And we just prayed, and then honestly, the money was there for about an hour, and then it was redeployed because we just don't want that money sitting around and depreciating on us.
Yeah, you said earlier you want your money to work for you. And if you want to have it work for you, it's not sitting. Yeah, I know the online savings accounts, they're taking their rates up with inflation and the Fed jacking up the rates, but 1-2%, that's not quite there. So good job, guys. That is fast. That is a fast turn. Now, how are you staying connected now? You're 2 years in as members. How do you continue to stay connected with the broader community, whether you're in Alaska or Rhode Island or wherever the next deployment may be?
Yeah.
Well, we usually just stay in contact with our leads in the community that take continuing education. We touch base with our mentors, and then we stay in contact with the leads, quarterly or if not sooner. But then we also, we're planning on going to the expo this year, and so we're planning on making some physical, meeting these people face to face, getting some good connections, good time there. And so basically that's how we're doing it right now. And then a lot of it's still done remotely through via email and just listen to their case courses and telephones. We'll call them and just things like that. But that's kind of where we're at right now with it.
Yeah, and I want to mention for the listener, you said the expo. That's going to be in Irving, Texas, between Dallas and Fort Worth. You just heard it. These guys are going to make the journey from wherever you may be at the time, Rhode Island, Alaska, North Carolina, who knows. It's worth the trip. Yeah. Thousands of investors,
totally
these lead investors. Yeah. What do you do when you're at the expo? How was the last one for you guys?
It was amazing. It was a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'm more of a shyer person, an introvert. And so it took a little bit of effort on my part to get out there and speak with people, but it was so easy. And you're around so many people that are in the same mindset as you and same goals. And I got to just say, I got a call a few weeks ago from a lead in San Antonio from Chad and Lisa, and they said, hey, we're putting together this deal, and we met you at the expo. And I remembered them right away, and their kids were there, and just an awesome family. And she said, we want you in this deal with us. They're syndicating the deal. And so we said, we want to be in it, but we just don't have the capital, the amount that you're asking for the minimum. She said, we'll work with you because we really, really connected with you at the expo. So that's just to let the listeners know that is the benefit of going to these expos. It cost me, I don't know, the hotel room and then, a couple $100 to go to the expo, but the amount of return I will get in the relationship with Lisa, and then also the investment itself, is you just can't put a number on it.
Yeah, very well put. And I want to ask, you mentioned in your, in your show, in your bio, you mentioned earlier when we were talking about tithing regularly. I'm curious, you're growing your wealth at a very rapid clip, far faster, as we heard just a moment ago, than you were on the traditional route. As you grow that wealth through real estate investing, how has that aided you in your ability to now give back?
Oh, my goodness, it's been life-changing. One of the reasons we really wanted to invest our money and grow it was because we wanted to have, an excess to be able to give to our community. And when we saw a need, we wanted to be able to just write a check. Hey, no problem. Here, you need this money, whatever it was. And Lifestyles has given us the ability to meet that goal to give, and we get to give generously now. And right from the beginning, Phillip and I said, we don't want to wait until we start seeing huge, these properties selling and getting these big chunks of money. We want to give from the very beginning, and really the Lord put on our hearts to start giving through the quarterly dividends. So just 7 months into investing with Lifestyles, we got our first quarterly dividend check, and it was amazing. So we've been able to, help single mothers in our community, educate, give food to children in the Congo, gift boxes. We've paid for vacations for people and pastors and their families, and we fixed a friend's plumbing in their house. We've helped with mission trips, and these are all things that are really, just what our main goal was in doing all this. And so it's just been awesome. Yeah, it's been amazing. So to date, I would just like to brag on Lifestyles and say, to date, less than 2 years into this, we've been able to give all of our quarterly distributions away, which has been about actually over $24,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. It's a very giving community. We share on the radio, we give back at case studies, and then we obviously continue to give back, as you are doing, to the community, to your family, to your friends, to your church. And that's what this whole thing is about. It's not the money, it's the lifestyle, and it's being able to aid others in their lifestyle as well. Well, hey, we're at the end of the show. Celisse and Phillip, thank you so much for joining me from all the way up in Rhode Island, here in Colorado. Enjoy your next trip back to Alaska, and I will see you guys in Irving mid-February at the Wealth and Passive Income Expo. See you then. Thanks again. Have a good day.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.